Welcome to the hottest grappling show in Arizona. The Valley is home to an amazing grappling community. Join us as we roll through the top jiu-jitsu schools in the state. Our goal? To highlight incredible instructors, their academies, and their amazing journeys through life and jiu-jitsu. It's not the destination, it's the journey that counts. Welcome to Rollin Through the Valley. Sales here, rolling through the valley. Here we are at Gracie Barra Ahwatukee, and with me is Professor Luis Freire.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. This is a pleasure, and I can't wait to get to know you a little bit more. I know your brother. I've seen you around.
Awesome.
So really cool to just have you on the show. Tell us a little bit about your jiu-jitsu journey and how you got into jiu-jitsu.
Okay, so I started jiu-jitsu in 2002 when I was 13 to 14 years old. I used to live in a bad neighborhood, if we can call it like that. And my parents were worried about me and everything, so they put me and my brother to start. And I remember since first day was like, how can I say, like love, you know? We love it, everything, and we never stopped. On this 22 years now.
Wow. And
we never stopped. Me and my brother are always training. Then moved belt, got my black belt in 2010, so now I'm a black belt for 14 years already, and moved to United States in 2016 to teach here with my brother in Arizona already, and then in 2017 we opened this school, the Gracie Barra Ahwatukee.
So how did you get into teaching? Did that just like come with like the love of jiu-jitsu, or like how did that work?
Yeah, so on the beginning I was more like the competitor, you know. I liked to train. I didn't like to teach too much when I was young. But back in Brazil, we didn't have the like financial like to pay the gym, you know, like where my professor used to teach. He used to teach in a big gym. Like in Brazil, we don't have like jiu-jitsu schools. Like we used to, right now we do, but back in the days we didn't have the jiu-jitsu schools like this. Mm-hmm. So he used to teach in he moved to teach in a really fancy gym, you know, and it was really expensive. So I didn't train with him. I trained with his professor for 6 months because I couldn't pay that. And eventually he got me to help him on the gym, you know, on the jiu-jitsu classes there, so I could train there as well. Mm-hmm. And kind of to pay my membership, I was teaching classes, you know. And when I got my black belt, he opened some classes for me, and I was always, you know, holding a little bit. I was always afraid to teach. And it's funny how life changes, right? Nowadays it's the opposite. I love to teach. It's my thing now, you know. Like if I have to teach or train on the same time, I'm usually gonna be watching my students and like helping them on the class.
And teaching jiu-jitsu is pretty difficult, especially to younger kids too. What do you think about that? Like, was it an easy transition to like teaching the kids, or? Yeah,
so in Brazil I never worked with kids before.
Yeah.
So when I moved here, we opened Gracie Barra Chandler. I was helping my brother on the kids classes, and I always told him like I don't want to teach the kids. I don't want to teach the kids because I wasn't ready, right? Yeah, like I felt I wasn't ready, right?
Yeah.
And eventually, well, it's my older brother, so he just pushed me like, you're teaching today, whatever, you know. And with time and experience, of course, I started to like the classes, and actually I felt that I had a really good connection with the kids, and it became easy for me, you know. Nowadays I struggle to get out of kids classes, like people asking me to teach more kids class, but we have so many classes here that I have to be as much as I can on the mats, right? So my other professors, my other coaches help me on the classes, but it's definitely a challenge. You have to be, you know, willing to help them. Especially here at our school, we start kids at 3 years old. It's pretty difficult, you know, but it's about working together with the parents, with the family. And if they understand that jiu-jitsu is not easy, jiu-jitsu will take some time, right? It's later steps every day. And if you work together with the family, you know, I have students here with me for 8 years now training.
Nice.
And they're doing pretty good, so.
Nice. Jiu-Jitsu teaches a lot of life lessons. What does Jiu-Jitsu mean to you?
For me, it's basically my life right now. Not right now. On these last 20 years, it's being like that. Since I decided to do Jiu-Jitsu for my life, right? Teaching and moving to America, having a school here, you know, just to you know, like I don't think I have friends outside of Jiu-Jitsu. All my friends are involved with Jiu-Jitsu somehow, you know.
Right.
Even from other teams, you go to tournaments,
Yeah.
you get, you know, you make friends with other teams. Here in Arizona, I have a lot of schools, so I have a good relationship with a lot of them. And I think Jiu-Jitsu means, like for me, it's not just work, you know. I don't see this as work. I see this as part of my life, you know. It's like whatever I do, if I have to travel, I'm thinking where I'm gonna train, where can I go to teach some class or see something, you know.
Right.
So Jiu-Jitsu is everything on my life right now. Like my daughter spends the day on the school with me.
Yeah.
You know, my wife trains Jiu-Jitsu with me. So it's like right now it's part of the family.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your competition experience?
So I competed a lot until my black belt, first years of my black belt. On the color belts, I had a really good competition results. In Brazil, right? I never left Brazil to compete. The tournaments, the biggest tournaments, moved to United States, right? So I was never able to come here. And by my brown belt, I had few serious injuries that kind of took my training away from like a serious training away from like 1-2 years, pretty much. So I stepped back a little bit. I tried to come back competing, but it was on the same time that I was teaching classes, and I was like changing my perception of things, you know. So
what was the injury? What'd you do?
I tear my PCL, LCL, and something else on my right knee. I forgot the name in English right now.
What? Or like, was it passing or a takedown or?
You know, I was actually a purple belt, and my professor was mad at me because I was doing things that was not allowed for purple belts, you know, and I did it wrong. And instead of me hurting my partner, what was dangerous for that too, I hurt myself. Was a calf slicer.
Okay.
I was doing a calf slicer and I didn't lock properly. You know, have to lock a figure four when you're doing. I was not locking. I didn't, you know, didn't pay attention on that detail. So my partner was defending. He did the right thing. He was trying to get his leg out, and my knee kind of turned the opposite way. But but you know, I think that showed me that Jiu-Jitsu was not only, I think that also actually helped me to get here where I am today, you know. Today I see myself way more as an instructor than as a competitor, even that I think that it's a huge part of Jiu-Jitsu, you know. I gotta be active, I gotta be competing. And but with those things, I kind of changed my mind as I got older, you know. Again, I had a really good, like some color belts results, Brazilian nationals, Europeans, but after I got my black belt, I started to realize that my path was maybe different. You know, I should more like focus more on my students and help them.
Tell us about the very first time you competed.
Okay,
how did it go for you?
Okay, it was actually good.
Really?
It's usually not good, but for me it was. I was a white belt. Maybe it was like 3 months into Jiu-Jitsu, and I had 2 fights on the like a juvenile. I don't remember the division.
Yeah.
I think I was around like 110 pounds, 115 pounds on the time, and I had 2 fights. I remember that I submitted the first one after scoring a few points. Don't remember with what I did, but I remember that I submitted. And the second fight, I won by advantages. I don't know how I remember that. Don't ask me. It just I remember the fights, but it was my very first tournament. It was in Paulínia, close to my city in Brazil, and it was crazy because I was only 3 months in, you know. And I remember my brother fights on the day too. I think it was a pretty special day for us, and I still remember. So it was actually a good experience. Usually, first tournaments are like really tense, right? But for me, I think I was too young to understand the moment, you know.
That's a good thing.
So that was good for me.
Nice. What are your thoughts on competition, and do you think it's for everyone?
I think competition should be huge inside the community, you know. I think everyone should try once and have that experience, because it teaches us so much about ourselves, you know. It's not just who is better. It's not about that for me, you know. For me, it's a big tool to change the way I work with my students, for example. You know, I have some serious competitors here inside my school. I have people that don't want to even step on the mats to compete. But exposing yourself that way, you know, it's like it teaches your instructor and teach yourself, you know, about who you are, about how you can improve as a person and on everything. Right. So I tell my students that I learn a lot about them when they go out and compete. You know, well, everybody knows, like, somebody that is really shy on the mats is like, in training you watch them, like he shouldn't, you know, maybe he's not ready for competition. Then he goes to a tournament, he rises and like shows a completely different person, you know. So I have a lot of examples, and I think everybody should try at least once. See if you like or not. If you like, keep doing it, because it makes you grow and improve so much. So I think it's important.
Do you offer competition classes?
We do. Now with my school growing these last few years, we do have competition classes for adults and also for kids. We focus a lot on the teens age, right? Like 12 and up. I feel like Jiu-Jitsu has improved so much in the last few years that we gotta grow those kids into some really good blue, purple belts, because you see kids like now, juveniles nowadays, they're training Jiu-Jitsu for 10 years, you know? So we're having pretty good success with our kids program, with our competition teams here. And we're super excited about this season. We're doing really well. Unfortunately, we couldn't compete on some local tournaments this year because we were competing in Brazil, competing out of state. But we're planning for the second semester to be in a lot of those tournaments and get our school to at least to the top 5 ranking on the kids.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are up there. You guys are always placing, so that's really awesome to see.
Yeah.
What do you focus on in the competition training? What do you focus on specifically? Do you teach them about the rules? How do you go about that?
So there's, how can I say? There's different moments, right, during the season, let's say. With important tournaments coming up, we focus more, the training gets more intense, and you focus more on getting them ready for the moment, right? When we are away from those tournaments, my focus is really on, how can I say, technical development. Right. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
So I teach them, of course, I gotta make them improve technically, right? We have more class, not just the comp classes, but sometimes a few details that makes a difference. Sometimes we stop the class and teach them what does the rule mean, like if you have a submission, go out of bounds, how is the score? Me and the other professor here, we have the referee scores. So we keep studying the rules all the time, so to keep our students updated, you know, because sometimes it's one little detail that you don't know about the rule makes a difference. Right. So, but again, like we try to split training in between, like when we are away from the tournament, it's more about like technical and learning about rules and stuff like that. On those last few weeks, then it's more like increase the intensity, get them ready to fight, you know. Some of them, we are able to study opponents already, so sometimes we sit aside with them, each one of them, and explain a few things. So strategy is a big part of, at least of my work. I can love to sit with my student and like, look, your opponent looks like this. He likes to do bottom, likes to do top, stuff like that.
How do you mentally prepare your students? Because that's a big piece too, especially going into competition for like the very first time. You don't know what to expect. So how do you prepare your students mentally? So
I deal with them like differently. Like I really like to be close to my student in a way that I learn about them and I know how to deal with them, because every person is different. So if I have to coach somebody that is really experienced in tournaments, it's different. A person that is the first day or the first time during a tournament, it's usually I used to tell them that the expectation should be for them to go there and do their best, you know, and fight hard, and of course trying to win, you know. But as a first experience, it's not mandatory for him to win or her to win. You know, it's like what matters is for them to go there, and my focus is on them having a good time, you know, because again, that moment might change their jiu-jitsu journey. You know, maybe my moment was on my tournament, on my very first tournament when I won that tournament. And I love jiu-jitsu. So for my focus is to help them enjoy that process, you know. About preparing them mentally for the tournament, it's like, I'm not really good at speeches, you know. I don't stop everybody and make great speeches, but I like to sit down with them and like and explain my expectation, you know, letting them know that I'll be there for them, doesn't matter what. So they see me as like the head instructor, and all the other professors, right? They see that whoever's teaching them, like they're afraid of frustrating, right? Like frustrating your coach or your professor. So I make sure I let them know that I'll be there for them no matter what, you know. So I think that makes a big part, and they get a little bit more relaxed, you know. As they get more experience, then it changes, you know. And as I get close to them, like I have students with me that compete every weekend pretty much, and I know when I have to just tell the truth right there, or when I have to hold and like kind of go around, you know, make them their mind just be focused on the fight.
What is one of the biggest lessons competitions have taught you?
I think it's a hard one. It's more about resilience, you know. Every time you go to a tournament, you're testing yourself, you know, and you're putting yourself to the test. And I was always this kind of student that I wanted to prove to my professor, you know, like it's exactly what I'm working with my students now. Was I was doing that, you know, when I was younger, and like losing a tournament or not having the result you want, you know, it's frustrating. So I learned on how to enjoy that process for me right now. Like I'm older, whenever I compete, I'm focusing on not the result gonna be a consequence, you know. So I'm focused more on like doing my best on training so I can be prepared. That's one mistake that I don't want to make anymore, competing without preparation, right? And be there in doing my best for my performance, you know. Like the last few times I competed, I think I never competed that well my 22 years in jiu-jitsu, you know. I've been competing really well lately, but it's more about learning about your mistakes and getting better, you know. Especially as the instructor now, I have to have the open mind for that, you know. I can't just like, because I did bad, I suck and blah, blah. I don't think it's like that. I gotta have like my mindset ready for, you know, like to get better, you know. Like my focus is not one tournament, it's like training and getting better overall every day.
And so you still compete, or not
often?
Are you planning
I made
on?
A promise to my family that this year we were competing more. I just came back from another injury, and family that got really busy in the last 2 years. But I competed this year. I won a BJJF Open, and I'm going for now August, September, October. I'll be super active. So I gotta train. And
you're probably getting ready, your little girl, for a competition too, right?
Yeah, we have her mom is nervous about it, but I said that 2026 is right there. She is probably when she's able to compete for the first time. And she already does some classes, like we offer some family class where the family can come in. So she jumps on the mats either with somebody that she likes, or either with her mom. And she's doing like, she loves single legs. So it's a hug on the legs, so it's pretty easy.
What advice would you give your younger self? If you could go back in time, what would you tell your younger self? Whether it's competition or with jiu-jitsu?
It's a hard one. Well, there's a lot to tell my younger self. But one thing that I learned as I matured, as I got older, you know, learning on how to enjoy, how to like never settle, you know, like never. It's not a stop, because I never stopped. Even when I was injured, I was going to train every day, not to do the training, but to watch the classes and be involved somehow. But I mean, it's like looking for improvement, you know, because when you're young, especially when I was like a juvenile blue belt, purple belt, I was winning a lot of tournaments. So I think if I can get back to those times and tell, hey, not winning anything, just try to get better, because things gonna get harder as you move on, you know. I don't think I understood that properly when I was young. And I think that would be, you know, like, okay, keep training, but, you know, like take it serious, like even more serious, you know, like because things gonna get harder. And you know, I think when you're younger, you win one or two tournaments, you think you're invincible, unbeatable.
Right.
I don't know how to say that. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know, and definitely I would go back like, look, some losses gonna come, so you better train. You know, I think it's more like that. I always enjoy jiu-jitsu and I have fun. Like for me, it's like having fun with jiu-jitsu is huge nowadays. You know, at my age, if I'm not having fun, I'm not gonna train. I'm not gonna compete. You know, for me, it's about that.
Absolutely. What are your plans for the school? Anything going on here? What are your plans for your students?
So we do have. Well, we just did a remodeling the beginning of this year. We're gonna do more now the second semester and finishing getting 2 mats now. We have a lot of classes going. The school is doing great. You know, of course, we're always looking to growth and everything, but we wanna keep growing. You know, talking about the school, like just keep growing, and eventually get even a bigger space for our school. You know, my classes are pretty full on 2 mats now, so I have to work something to get even better. And then related to competitions, I have some important tournaments for my kids this week and next month too. Paying Kids, Jiu-Jitsu Con, and have the Arizona BJJ League tournaments here in Arizona that again we want to be placing, and they know that, so they are ready to compete. You know, just want to make my students improve and get better. You know, have a few keys that you guys gonna watch a lot on this next few months for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Tell the people where they could find you on social media.
Awesome. So our school is at JB Ahwatukee 72. You can find us on Instagram. And my Instagram is Luis Piu, P-I-U, GB72 as well. You can find our social medias there and learn more about our school.
You're also Pew?
Well, since we're recording, let me tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I am the original Pew. So when I was young, my professor gave me the nickname of Pew Pew. So Pew Pew is the Tweety bird in Brazil.
Yes.
And my brother became the Big Pew on the time because he was my brother. He'll be so mad because I'm telling you guys this. And what happens is, he moved here first, and people that get to know him, I'm Pew, so everybody knows him as Pew.
Yeah.
When I moved here,
nobody recognized you as
people
Pew.
said nobody knew me, so like, wow, what's your name? Luis.
Yeah.
So I didn't I don't introduce myself as Pew, never. But my nicknames and my tag right on Instagram is Pew. So I got the nickname. He got the nickname because of me. But nowadays he's Pew and I'm Luis. You know, so I lost my nickname to him. What is okay? No problem.
So now you're probably mad at him, like, why'd you take my...
my professor still call us Big Pew and Little Pew. But now I'm Big Pew because I'm bigger and he's little.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and we'll see you out in the tournaments.
Thank you so much.